Okay. Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to the Rainbow Coaching Collective podcast. We are a collective of LGBTQIA plus transformative coaches who are set on empowering members of the community and its allies one conversation at a time. We are now on episode 11, which is incredible. And we're going to be exploring the theme of success today and what it means to us. So firstly, let's just introduce ourselves. I'm Holly, and we've got the amazing Max and Rachel here today.
Hi
Hiya.
everyone.
Okay, so let's dive straight in. So the first question I wanted to put out to you, as the word success can be obviously is well, it's very, very subjective to our own individual experience. But what does success mean to you? Would anyone
Hmm.
like to start? Any initial thoughts?
I'm happy to kick off.
Go for it,
Great.
Rich.
Um, I think for me, success and its meaning has probably changed over time. So I think originally success was more about comparing myself to everybody else and where I should be. And I think nowadays success is more about how I'm feeling within myself and what I'm doing within. Um, so that kind of more alignment more to my values rather than what's expected of me. So for me, success has changed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well, Rich. I think when I started out in my career, with my legal career, success was all about money and status and identity. That was probably the biggest one for me over and above um money and sort of status. Um, because I'd built my world around this one career. Spent so many £1,000 to get me to that stage, and then and finally got the job, and so it was an identity that I was proud of. Um, but even though I had the money and I had that identity, there was something that wasn't fulfilling me um, on a sort of deeper core level, and I never knew why. Because I'd got there, I'd made it, I'd done the thing. So I was like, what's going on here? And I think it took me to have go through a sort of process of misalignment where I had really bad anxiety. There was lots of reasons why I felt like I didn't fit in to that legal world. For example, all about conflict every day, and I'm quite a conflict averse person generally. So there's lots of parts of me that didn't align. But I thought, why is it that I'm not happy? Because I've got the money, I've got the status, I've got the identity. Um, and I wasn't realizing that there's this deeper stuff at play, like you were talking about the alignment with values and things. Um, and it took me changing career to start to move into higher education to start to think, oh, actually, what do I like? I like helping people grow. I like helping people move forward. But I'd also done a lot of work on myself, like therapy and coaching. And I started to really enjoy that process of learning who I was, and unpacking who I was. Um, and so I think for me, it's been a journey as well. And I think now it's still hard to define, but I think it's more to do with sort of inner peace. And that's something I really crave and aspire to still. And when I managed to make that time for myself, which is a challenge on some weeks, like this week. Um, but when I do that, and I lean into that, and I take authority over that, and make that my sort of main metric. How at peace do I feel this week? That to me um, feels like a really sort of genuine definition of success for me, as opposed to sort of money and status. And I think there's different like metrics we use, isn't there, for like value? But I think inner peace seems to be one of them, and see that even with a lot of my clients, that they have money, they have the status, but they're missing something, and often it's that inner peace thing. So I think it's a really interesting question. What is our definition of success? Because I think it does change over time, does change on the journeys that we go on. Yeah. How about you, Holly?
Yeah, absolutely. Can definitely relate to everything that you've both said. Success has massively changed for me, hugely. If I think back to my early 20s, I did a degree in performing arts and dance, and in the entertainment sphere, what success looks like is quite specific, and you're brought up with that as well. And it's the same with anything. If you do, sport or play an instrument, success is always measured in grades,
Mm.
and benchmarks. And you did pass that exam, so that means you're successful. You didn't pass that other exam, that means you're a failure. And it's quite clear cut, and therefore success is something we're taught from a very early age, that actually success is something outside of ourselves that we need to achieve. And I think what you end up doing, if you are somebody who is exploring the inner space, what you end up doing is realizing that everything that you've been taught almost has to be undone, and success really purely comes from your inner personal journey. Because, like you said, it's like the people that you work with, people that you come across, famous people, well off people, doesn't necessarily mean that they're happy people. And they're often the ones who are least happy, because they have realized that they've got everything they're supposed to want, and they're still deeply traumatized or unhappy. So they kind of have to go on that journey. So yeah, for me, success was being famous, being on TV, being in the theatre. That's what success meant to me. And I found it really difficult when I left university, because I literally have friends who did that. And so I would massively compare myself to those people that I thought, well, they're successful. I've got a friend, that they're on TV, they're married to a superstar. Like, I would compare myself, and it's like, well, I'm just a piece of crap if I'm like having to move back to my parents, or I'm doing another job. So that really destroyed my self-worth in my 20s. And along with various different other things that had an impact on that, very much had to undo all of that and realize that success comes from your own definition and of what that means to you. And generally, that is, am I happy right now?
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of measure it now. Do I have balance? Am I happy? Am I happy with myself? Am I on a trajectory? I might not be exactly where I want to be right now in terms of various different parts of my life, but am I on the right path to achieving them? And if the answer is yes, then I can kind of be satisfied and feel fulfilled, which would be another way of saying, I guess, successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a lot coming up for me listening to both of you. And what came up for me was, when you talked about exams, I mean, I left school with absolutely zilch. I was a complete failure in that way. But as I've gone on, I've gone on and got my degree and other qualifications. But I was also thinking about, do I feel successful because I went from nothing to having other qualifications? And I thought, part of me doesn't feel it quite so successful, because school was just such a nightmare and hard work. where the stuff that I do now, whether it's, psychology, coaching, or, all the stuff that I've done, mindfulness, CBT, counseling, is I've had a personal interest. So it doesn't feel like I've been learning. So when I get the certificate, it's great, but it doesn't feel that kind of the same kind of failure success, black and white, as what it did at school. It's like, actually, I've enjoyed that. It wasn't about the end certificate. It was my journey with it. And then on the kind of another side where, I wasn't particularly great at sport, but then in my kind of late 40s, I did quite a lot of running, and I was kind of second, third. I was always in like either the top 5 or the top 10 lady in. And then on one of them, I was second at 9 miles, and it was a half marathon. And at 9 miles, I was like, it was a tough run. It was called Tough Run. I'm not saying it was tough. It was tough, but and I decided that I wasn't enjoying it because I was pushing myself so hard, and I was like, do I actually want to be like in the top 3 or the top 5? I was like, no, I actually want to enjoy it. And so I just ran the rest of the race and didn't see it as a failure. I certainly didn't see it as giving up. I just surrendered to my own pleasure of it, rather than having that kind of official outcome or striving towards anything. Actually, I just wanted to enjoy that moment. So I think it was things like that that started to make my shift of what success meant. And the success meant listening to myself and going, actually, what's my journey here? It's important to enjoy it now, not the end goal or the outcome or.
A really nice take.
Yeah, sorry, go on,
Holly,
Max. I was going to say, go on, you go first, Max.
I was going to say, it took so much out of what both you said. So, Harley talking about success being something outside of yourself. That's how I've always, or how I always saw it, and now seeing it something within. And that reminds me of a quote someone reminded me of the other day, which is, "We can never get enough of what we don't need. We can never get enough of what we don't need." So the idea is that we keep chasing the money, we keep chasing the status, we keep chasing the identity, the fame, all the stuff, but we don't need it. So we can never get enough of it. So we become more addicted to getting more of the stuff that we don't need. And it's this cycle. And I had to listen to that a couple of times, that quote, before I finally got it. And I was like, wow, I've been doing that my whole life, like chasing so much of the stuff that I don't actually need because I think it will fulfill me. I've been reminded recently of like what I'm actually aiming for is, amongst all of the stuff that I do, and I'm doing so much stuff, is actually peace, which is kind of the opposite of all the things that I'm doing. And I love everything that I'm doing now, which I'm very, very grateful for. But I have to remind myself of that. Why am I doing all of this? Ultimately, the peace for myself as well as other people, but peace for myself. And so yeah, it's really interesting to think about that, isn't it? It's like not being something external, because I was always so high achieving when I was growing up, to try and fill a void and drive forward at all costs. I think we live in a society, it's this like wounded masculine society anyway. Drive forward, don't speak up about your emotions, just keep going, crack on, stiff upper lip, keep going. And actually most of us just want to be. We want to be ourselves, we want to allow, we want to let in some of that positive stuff, but we just have to keep going forwards. And then Rachel's point, destination versus journey. Yeah. I've always seen it as a destination, but it's not a destination. Success is a state. Well, at least that's how I see it now, having listened to you and processing that. It's a state journey. And it can change. We can move the goalposts, but if it's something in the future that's got to get hold of, we can never have it now. So how can we ever be happy if we're constantly running after something that's a destination? Whereas if we can see it more as a state, part of our journey. Am I successful today? Have I been successful today? Not in an achievement sense, but fulfillment, peace, all those sorts of things. So yeah, a huge amount came out of that for me.
Yeah, me too. What I've just written down is that listening to you speak, Max, is overwhelm. And I felt quite paralyzed by, again, like those benchmarks that felt out of my power.
Mm,
So, whatever that was, whether it's career, whether it was buying a house, where it was being having this perfect relationship or having children, I felt like those benchmarks were sometimes so far away that I felt so overwhelmed that I just couldn't even make a step towards anything because all of these things, it's like, well, I'm never gonna do that. I can never get that job, or I'm so far from being in that place or being in that having that relationship that it would almost paralyze me.
mm,
And I would then beat myself up for procrastinating or not doing anything. But what I recognize now is that actually I was in a complete state of overwhelm. And therefore, I would make decisions that instead of taking me towards that path of success where I would actually feel successful, I got further away from it because
mm,
I was just like, well, let me just do that job. I know I can do that, but it wasn't actually towards, say, the career that I wanted. So yeah, again, like so much it's come up there, and I absolutely believe that it's feeling successful on the journey. And when you do feel successful on the journey, your barriers go down, your heart opens, and actually you welcome in opportunity that will feel successful
mm,
because barriers aren't there. It's that idea of energy, and you get what you focus on. So if you're focusing on lack, you don't have that in your life. The barriers are up and you won't have it. Whereas if you let
mm,
that down and enjoy where you are, the barriers go down. As I say, your heart opens up and you can allow in wonderful situations that are going to align you with what feels successful to you.
mm. Yeah.
And just one more thing, I was sort of thinking really resonated what you said, Rachel, about enjoying, like really enjoying that moment. And it really reminded me of a point in my dance career when I was really young. And it was going from college to uni. And I hadn't actually got into one of I know it was between sort of 16 and 18, and I hadn't got into one of the dance schools that I planned to perhaps go to. And I was at a period where I wasn't doing any auditions for anywhere. And I was just dancing because I enjoyed dancing. And I remember it so clearly, and it was such a long time ago now. But I was doing a contemporary class, and my teacher said to me, I've never seen you dance so well and so happy. She said, I've never
Mm,
seen you so happy. And I was like, wow. And that's because I wasn't trying. I didn't have an audition to go to. I was literally just dancing because I loved dancing. And it really
mm,
just took me back to that. I still remember that so clearly. It was just a window of time where I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just dancing because I was in the moment.
mm.
And it takes that pressure off, doesn't it? Because you're just doing it for yourself. You're not performing for, I mean,
Yeah.
you were performing, but you weren't performing for other than anyone else. It was really inside. Your
Yes.
performance was
Yeah.
about you, not the external.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really useful actually just to remember that.
Yeah. That abundance,
Yes.
like that comes from within, like energetically goes out, right? And like you say, there's lack within. I've seen that so many times myself. If I don't look after myself, if I don't make the time for myself, that's reflected in the world around me. There's lack around me because I'm creating that energetic field. Or, if you don't subscribe to that, even just on a basic level, if you're being, if you're feeling down and low, and that's the conversations you're having with people, and it's about other people, it's about how rubbish everything is, then they're the conversations that you're creating and you're triggering, and that's what the world that you're bringing in right around you. Whereas if you can move more into that, the gratitude side of things, it's what I say to clients, and I have to remind myself of, and I still don't do this all the time daily, and that's a practice that I'll admit to, but I want to be, is is to be leaning into gratitude on a daily basis. What are three things that I'm genuinely grateful for? Leaning into that feeling, because there's always something. And it helps to remove so much of this lack. We're taught to just keep driving forwards, right, and keep building, and keep acquiring, and keep achieving. But we have so much available to us already, and
Mm.
which is amazing. And I'm saying this for myself as much as I'm saying it for other people, because to remind myself, because it's easy to forget in a busy week that there's so much available to us that's just amazing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think is, like, with the mountain, we can climb this success mountain and never pause and look at the view. And we've done incredibly well with coaching stuff with the RCC, for example, um, and growing that together. And it's easy just to be like, right, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But
Mm.
it's great. We've helped so many people already, and that's lovely to be part of a community and to be helping people. And in our own individual lives, we've overcome so much adversity and done so many things and been so strong, the three of us, like all the trials and tribulations. But it's easy to be like, yep, okay, so the next, lack,
Mm.
lack, lack. But just pausing, actually just going, wow, like, well done you for where you are now.
Yeah.
Like, you a year ago would be like, wow, I never thought you'd be able to do that. Um,
Yeah.
or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Like, so, um, I wasn't even part of a LGBT plus community. Like, even a couple of years ago, but 10 years ago, I wasn't even out. So it's like, you think back, like, how far we've all come on in different ways. And that's amazing, isn't it? As well, just pausing and reflecting. So two really useful exercises, I think, as takeaways for people: the gratitude one, and that pausing and just being like, well done you. Like, what have I achieved? Or not what haven't I achieved?
Yeah.
I'm going to go away and do that after this, after this
Good.
chat.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
Practice what we preach. It's important.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that sense, isn't it, of like, most of us will set an alarm in the morning because we just presume we're going to get up. But for many, we won't. So there's that, having that gratitude of
Mm,
actually waking up in the morning and going, I'm here for another day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I especially feel quite gratitude for that, given recent offence. But
Mm,
it's the things that we don't always, or stuff that we take for granted, isn't it? It's actually trying to bring that into, you can drive somewhere, but there's no guarantee you're not going to have an accident.
mm,
But then when we're grateful for that, so I'm always feeling, well, that was good, that was successful. I've been to here and I've come back and nobody was
Yeah.
hurt, kind of thing. Which is a different type of success. It's more that kind of gratitude of, rather than a pat on the back.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah. I've also sort of realized the importance of connection, and people and community. That for me feels like real success and is very different from the success of what I used to think was I've got to do this on my own. If I ask for help or I need help,
mm,
I'm not successful. Whereas actually a beautiful benchmark of success is what other people say about you and the people that you have in your life. I
mm,
think, in the relationships that you have, that is another beautiful benchmark of success, and successful relationships, because we're not an island,
mm,
in this world.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Community that you can celebrate with as well, right? Like, who's genuinely got your back, like you guys, for me, like, who have all your best intentions, like finding your people, because some people, there can be jealousy, there can be resentment, and it's not that none of us don't experience those emotions as well, but it's about surrounding yourself with people who generally have your best intentions at heart, and trying to lean into those more positive energies than the negative energy. So looking at your community. What is your community? What is your hub? And
Mm.
could you bring in more people that can help you feel your own success? Or are people feeling that they're weighing you down?
Yeah.
As well, I think is another part to that.
Mm.
It is. It's that thing, isn't it? It's not just. Now that little brainwave has gone somewhere, but it was something to do with we're not just what we feed ourselves, not just in terms of food, but actually what kind of social media we're feeding ourselves with, what kind of programs, what kind of people we're with, what we're kind of feeding on can have an impact on us as well. So if we are surrounded by people who are generally happy for where we're going and happy for us to turn up as us, and it kind of breeds that more positivity. And I don't mean in a toxic way, but in that way where it's kind of, small successes are celebrated rather than squashed or dismissed or so I think it's important to think about what, as an individual, you feed yourself. And that can be how you're spending your own time, who you're spending it with, what you're watching, and actually how you're feeling. Because recently I was out with some friends, and then I felt really tired, and I was just like, do you know what, I'm going to go home. Where beforehand I probably would have just either pushed through, and it was just like, no, I'm going to stand up for me, and I'm going to do what's right for me. And actually they were absolutely 100% fine with it as well. So but when you've got that kind of community where you can be more you, I think that kind of successfulness kind of spreads.
Yeah.
That was a very long-winded way of saying it. I do apologize.
No. Yeah, it's important to recognize that, success will look different on different days, at different times a day, in different situations. And I think, again, it's that sort of societal view that to successful, you need to be grinding, you need to be hustling, you need to be working, you need to be earning cash. It's like, actually, success for some people might be getting out of bed and making a cup of tea that day.
So
and it's so important that we look at rest. I mean, that might be a whole nother thing to talk about all the time, but the idea of the importance of rest. I used to feel so guilty even on the weekend, because I was like, oh, I'm not hustling to be my career. And it's like, no, if I don't have a rest, you won't be doing anything next week. So it's important to recognize what success looks like in the moment rather than judging that.
Yeah.
Gosh, such rich conversation. That's been beautiful. Is there anything else you guys would like to add before we draw to a close?
I don't think so. I think there's so many different avenues we could go further on this with. It's such a big topic, isn't it? But that's opened up some really interesting discussion. It's given me lots of food for thought. So hopefully it's given the listeners some as well. And that what you were saying, Rachel, is that you're the common denominator of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I don't know whether that's actually accurate or not, but the idea of it must be right? That they rub off on you in some way, and being conscious of that, I think, is important. But no, thanks both.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I think it's something we could probably expand on going forward, because it is such a big thing that we could go on in different ways. I mean, we've not even touched on how success is viewed between the difference of men and women and stuff like that. So I think there's more to come.
Yes, we might have to do a part 2, I think. It's such a rich topic, isn't it? But we could have a chat about that. But thank you both so much for getting stuck into this. I really appreciate it. And it has been such a beautiful and rich conversation today, and sharing your personal experiences as well. Listeners, if you resonate with this topic or anything we've shared today, or you have any ideas on things you'd like to talk about in the future, please visit our website and get in contact with us. We are on www.rainbowcoachingcollective.com, and our email is info@rainbowcoachingcollective.com. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. And on that, we are very excited, and we've started getting correspondence from listeners. And we've had a wonderful suggestion from a listener, which we're going to use for our next topic on the podcast, and that is vulnerability. So thank you so much to the listener that suggested that, and we'll get stuck into the topic of vulnerability next time. So until that next time, Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you.
Take care.